This has got to be one of the most egregious, most blasphemous basketball takes I have ever watched in my entire life of watching basketball. This man, Stephen A. Smith, went on First Take today and said that Joel Embiid is a tad bit away from being compared to Ben Simmons. This is the same Ben Simmons who, in August of 2021, said he no longer wants to play for the 76ers, that his game does not match well with Joel Embiid. The same guy who goes to the Nets and plays with Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant, and things still didn't work out in Brooklyn. He's still passing up layups. And I'm here to believe that somehow Joel Embiid should be compared to Ben Simmons. And you got people on X actually believing this type of nonsense. Let's break this down. The seven-time All-Star Joel Embiid. Yes, I know he has an injury history. I know he has not shown up in the playoffs when he's been healthy. I get all that. A guy who has won MVP, a two-time scoring champion, comparing him to Ben Simmons, who can't stay on the basketball court, who has regressed as a basketball player. He's scared to make layups. I mean, ever since that play against Trae Young where he passed up a dunk, it's just been a disaster with Ben Simmons. To put Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons in the same breath is ludicrous. I'm not a Joel Embiid guy. I'm going to admit that up front. But the disrespect here and the amount of stupidity coming out of Stephen A. Smith's mouth is insane to me. Look, you don't have to be the biggest Joel Embiid supporter. I get that. I understand as Philly fans, if you want to move off Embiid and just start over, understandable. But that man has still played through injuries. He has still shown up, especially against that Heat series where he had the fracture, I believe, in his cheekbone. I don't remember the exact injury, but he still came back against in the Heat series. He played through the injury. I know he has played through injuries in the past. And unfortunately, there's been moments where he hasn't shown up, and there's been times where you could blame injuries. But at the same time, let's calm this down. Ben Simmons can't even sniff Joel Embiid as a basketball player. Accomplishments compared to Simmons is night and day. And Embiid's not out there holding out for a contract or saying that I want to move off the Sixers because I choked in a game 7, that I passed up an open dunk and I got in my feelings because Joel Embiid called me out after the game saying I was a big reason why we lost that game when I passed up on that dunk on Trae Young. Come on now. Let's stop the cap. I get Embiid needs to get healthy. I understand the Sixers are not doing well right now. Now, they did play well against the Hornets last night, and we'll see if they can continue down this trend where they can get healthier and turn this season around. Now, I'm going to play exactly what Stephen A. Smith had to say here, and I'll give you more of my thoughts.
Let me say this affectionately to Joel Embiid.
Still thinking about the squirrels.
He's one of my favorite people in the NBA. Let me say this to Joel Embiid in all seriousness. My brother, you're about a tad bit away from being compared to Ben Simmons. It's starting to look that bad. Now, let me tell you something right now. You bring up the injuries and all of that stuff. I look at the disinterest on his face. And that was before it got cracked. Okay? I look at the disinterest, the lack of enthusiasm, whatever. Now, we could talk about his injuries, and fair enough, Perk, right? But here's the problem. You were injured last year. You only played 39 games. In the playoffs, obviously, you got bounced in the first round by the New York Knicks. You didn't look that way in the Olympics. Looked pretty damn happy. Looked pretty damn happy playing in the Olympics, okay? And then inexplicably, you ain't ready to go come this season, all right? And I'm looking at that, and I got this list of injuries here, just so y'all know. Sinus fracture. Foot, knee, health protocols, back, hand, face, ankle, shoulder, calf, hip, elbow, ribs, injury management. That is why I was against your assertion to sit him down, because I'm going like this. He's always hurt. This brother will get hurt going to the bathroom. I got to use him when I got to use him, because I never know. Just because you don't play him don't mean he ain't going to show up hurt. Wow. Evidenced by him playing in the Olympics, looking just fine, and then 2 months later when the season starts, there's nothing. He's injured.
Now, as you saw from that clip, Stephen A. Smith is out of his mind. I mean, if I'm going to compare Joel Embiid to somebody saying he's a tad bit away from a player, I'm going to mention Kawhi Leonard, because we have seen Kawhi Leonard at his best where he won 2 championships. He's won finals MVP. And then all of a sudden, the knee injuries pop up. The load management starts happening, and he can't stay on the basketball court. That is a better comparison than a Ben Simmons. Now, he mentioned that Joel Embiid looks disinterested out there when he's off the court. Maybe he's frustrated because he's been dealing with injuries since last year in January. I can't believe I'm defending Joel Embiid, but I don't want to take this too far. He still has accomplished a lot as an NBA basketball player. He was known as a top 5 player at some point when it comes to his season performances. Now, when it comes to playoffs, it's different. But at the same time, Embiid has been an elite player. And when it comes to Ben Simmons, yes, he's a 3-time defensive player of the year and he's a 3-time all-star player, but he has not sustained that level of success. Embiid at least has been good after Simmons left. He won an MVP without Ben Simmons. So it seems like he's better without Ben Simmons. I think he's proven that. He just hasn't made a conference finals. And unfortunately, at this stage of his career, he can't stay healthy. Hopefully that can turn around for him because he has all the talent in the world. And I think if he ever gets to a championship where he wins one, that is going to help his legacy out. But let's calm it down. I get Embiid is hurt. And it's so easy to throw stuff at Embiid and say, okay, he's mentally weak, and I get all that. I mean, some of the criticism is fair because he sets himself up in the media where he says things like, man, why did Embiid have to say that? But to compare Joel Embiid to a guy who quit on the 76ers and who's on a Brooklyn Nets team who is rebuilding, they're probably not going to re-sign him. And if you're looking at the market for Ben Simmons, he's probably going to get a minimum contract, maybe. Or he'll just be somewhere else playing basketball. I don't know. But at this point, let's calm this down because I get Embiid has expectations, but if I'm going to properly compare Embiid's career and look at where he's a tad bit away from this player or that player, I'm looking at Kawhi Leonard. I think that's a fair comparison. Ben Simmons, please stop the nonsense. This is ridiculous because if I have a guy who's still willing to play through injuries, and yes, he can be annoying at times in the media, making different claims and saying, what if scenarios, but he's still able to play in the basketball court and through the injuries and not quitting on his basketball team. No, that is not a fair comparison to Embiid. I mean, we saw Ben Simmons pass up an open layup on a 5'11" point guard. Come on, let's stop it. He still passes up shots and he still is afraid to develop some type of jump shot and shoot it from the mid-range or from 3. Like, it's ridiculous at this point, and it's annoying to watch. And again, I can't believe I'm defending Joel Embiid, but I just had to say all this because, man, dude, make some sense next time. Because, again, people are going to believe this stuff and say, oh, yeah, Joel Embiid, he's just like Ben Simmons. He's heading that direction. No, he's not. Context matters. And the only guy I can see as a fair comparison is Kawhi Leonard. I think that's fair. And also more respect to Embiid. Again, I know it's easy to troll him. I know it's easy to, get on his case, make fun of him. I get all that because he hasn't made a conference finals. He's got to get there. But once he does, he's going to shut up a lot of haters. And hopefully he does at some point make the conference finals. I'm just not going to disrespect Embiid that much because he's still a top 10 player in the NBA when he's healthy. I don't think he's a top 5 player because I got to value your playoff performances. They haven't been up to his standard when it comes to his regular season performance. That's okay, but that can change if he has a run in the playoffs where he's giving you 28, 30 points a night, averaging that 5 assists, 12 rebounds, and he's dominating. That can still happen, but he's got to get healthy. So love to hear your thoughts on what Stephen A. Smith had to say about the comparison of Embiid to Simmons, where he's a tad bit away from being in the same conversation or whatever that meant, like a Ben Simmons. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.